Afternoon from Hamburg. It's really exciting for me to be here, and I hope you're going to enjoy about 30 minutes of in-depth stakeholder analysis stakeholder profiling. Um, I would like to share a little bit about my background and why I think stakeholder profiling really is essential for you when you want to run big projects, complex projects with a lot of different people involved. Who am I? My name is Ines Kaps. I'm the founder of Passion for Projects Academy, and I'm a successful international project manager, and I've been running different projects of different sizes for the last 23 years. Um, Not all around the globe, but almost everywhere in Europe. I've had clients in Israel, I've had clients in Turkey, in China, and also in Japan. So I have a lot of international experience, and I really, really enjoy these interactions with different people and finding solutions for a good and successful project. So what are we going to talk about is why should you run stakeholder analysis, and how are you going to go about it, and what is actually stakeholder profiling. So imagine three different types of situations in projects. It could be that there is a big IT software implementation, and early in my career, I did a big project in the south of France, where the head of IT wanted to implement a new finance system, but the head of finance did not want to change and wanted to keep his system. So there were two head-offs who had also personal conflicts, and I was a young project manager responsible of implementing this project. And this was by far one of my toughest and most draining projects I've ever done. Not only due to the political side, and I was in my late 20s, where I had not had the experience yet of big political discussions, conflicts in a project. I always was in smaller projects. I wasn't in a complete international setup. And this was something that I had experienced, and where I couldn't point, I was not able at that point in time to point the finger on the point is there are two stakeholders who don't get along, and actually this project just cannot work if you want to implement a new solution, a new software for a department, and this department is absolutely against it. This is not going to work. I did not yet have this experience to say upfront, this is never going to work. And at that point in time, I neither had the experience nor the courage to really raise my voice and say, help, or just stop the project. And my line managers, were not really aware, or I think some of them were aware, but they didn't say or realize that the situation was really how can I say, was really in a difficult situation where you cannot be successful. The second situation, couple of years later, where I was an external project manager for a large, also again, technical implementation in an engineering company. And this was at the very beginning of the project. And I had to prepare a business case, I had to prepare a project approval document and present it to the approval committee. And the project itself had a really amazing potential to increase the productivity of the company, but it also involved not only a new technology, but the benefits or the threat, depending on to whom you were talking to, the benefit of integrating SAP as, let's say, the master system, the system that owned the master data, and all other engineering systems basically were then to follow the master of SAP. And this change in, let's say, not ownership, but the change of power, that suddenly a different system was the one that, let's say, where you created the information, and the engineering system then had basically to follow in some sort of way, caused a lot of conflicts, and there were very heated discussions. And as an external project manager, I also created the meeting minutes of this approval meeting and let's say the next steps. And I had written down the different views, and also I had not mentioned the people who were against the project, but in this meeting it was crystal clear who was in favor of the project and who was against the project. And I had documented the conflict and the different views. And by documenting the situation in writing, it really backfired, because it was suddenly in writing that there was a conflict, and it was a, let's say, difficult start for the project. But at that moment in time, I also knew, well, where are going to be the difficult elements, or where is the highest resistance to change in this project. And the third situation where I had a very positive relationship with a head of the business unit, and this person and this unit was absolutely crucial for that project, because they saw the benefit. They were really eager to use the new technology to enhance their processes, and they also knew that as they were an important business unit for the company, the solution had to work and the rollout had to be successful. Otherwise, there would have been quite some challenges in business operation. And I knew the risk. I was aware of that, and I also communicated very openly with the head, not only with the users and the key users, but also with the management. And I told them always where we were at that project, where the risk were, how we managed the risks. And with this transparent communication, I had built trust with the management, and I really gained a wonderful support from the management, because they trusted me, they trusted the project and the project team, and they were also willing to take some risk in being one of the first movers on the system. So these are three situations that included, complex but also very important relationships with different stakeholders. And these relationships and these situations were not situations that you were able to, let's say, solve in a workshop or in a Scrum meeting. These were situations that were basically outside the standard Scrum meetings, the standard stand-up calls, the standard daily work of the team, because I had to manage the different stakeholders, let's say, outside the daily job of the project. So what is essential if you want to manage those kind of situations, those kind of relationships? And I think depending on where you are as a project leader, what type of projects, programs you are leading, you are managing, or where you are also within the project. Maybe you are a sub-project lead, maybe you are a team member, maybe you are a PMO. So there are different roles, and the roles differ, obviously, whether it's waterfall or agile. So bear with me if I don't use all the terminology, but it is basically managing the different stakeholders. And what is essential for you as a project leader is to understand who are you working with, and where are the relationships. And one element I think that every project leader does as one of the first steps is a stakeholder analysis, is basically listing all your stakeholders and understanding, are they internal, are they external, what type of relationship or dependency do they have with the project. And this is a good start. This is an important start, in particular to really get an overview and an understanding who are those stakeholders. And it's not only the users or the people who will use the new technology, the new process, who are directly involved. It's also people who are, or associations who may be indirectly involved. I don't know if your either suppliers will be affected, or whether your clients or customers will be affected, whether there is some influence from the authority onto the project, whether there are workers' councils. So different types of organizations, authorities, people who are affected by this project. And by doing this stakeholder analysis, you then also understand, well, what type of project stakeholders do you have? And stakeholder profiling for me is 1 and 2 steps more in depth. So not only listing who are they, maybe the management, maybe the middle management, maybe there are some departments or clients or customers. So that's all good. But in order to run and lead the project to success, it is essential to understand to whom do you need a good relationship, to whom do you need to build a relationship if you don't have a current relationship, and where could some resistance to change happen. And you will have probably a change management team or a change management responsible who will be involving people, employees who are affected by this change. And you will have decision makers who have an impact or can have an impact on your project. And these decision makers are particularly important to you, and profiling them is trying to understand them on a much, much deeper level. So, for instance, when you think about in marketing, you're creating an avatar for your ideal client or an avatar for your ideal user. And profiling in the context of stakeholder management is also sort of creating the avatar or understanding and analyzing analyzing the key decision makers. So you're basically questioning and also doing some research is, well, what are their roles and responsibilities? So if you have a management of a department who will be using this new process, is going to be affected by this change, or is going to use this new technology, what are their responsibilities? Not about people management, but responsibilities always related to this project. So does this project have a positive impact on their job, on their role, or does this have a potential negative impact on their job, on their role? Will they gain influence and power, or will they lose influence and power? And when you try to understand who are those people, what is their pain, how could you help them? This is really the element where you then understand and find ideas or generate ideas how you create allies, how you create support for your project. So really understanding your stakeholders, not all of them, but the most important critical stakeholders on a much deeper level. You could also do some research when it comes to their career history. So have they been with the company for 20 years or have they joined the company 6 months ago? So depending on their career history, you may also understand, well, are they going to retire in 1 year, or are they really eager to make a career in this setup? You may also want to understand what is their communication preference. Are they people who like the vision and the big goals, or are those the people who want the details, the financial details, the business case benefits? So what is their interest, and what type of information in what type of format is relevant to them? And this understanding what is relevant to them and what is important to them, that is then, let's say, the really advanced project leadership, where you serve the stakeholders, where you really try to build the trust, the transparency, the relationships with those stakeholders in a way that they are going to understand what you say. What do I mean? They are going to understand what you're saying. In my experience and my philosophy is, you're successful in communication if the people you're communicating to understand what you want to say. So it's not about you communicating, but it's about them understanding what you want to say. And in order for you to communicate in a way that they will understand, you will need to know those stakeholders, your audience, if you want to use just terminology. So As an example, if you're typically talking to a financial experts like numbers. So if you're communicating with them, give them the numbers, give them the risks, and give them how you're going to manage risk. So give them the details they are interested in. Obviously, you will also give them some other information, but focus on the details that they are relevant to them. And for instance, if you're making a steering committee presentation, and you have different types of stakeholders in the steering committee, some who are more vision focused, some are very interested in the milestones, and maybe some are more interested in the financial data. You need to address those different requirements in your presentation. And I understand, in particular, as a project leader, when you're running a project that is run in an agile style, where you say you don't have let's say traditional or waterfall type milestone, but you have Scrum meetings and you have different sprint activities. You sometimes also need to translate sprint into milestones. So you need to make this translation so that the management team or the people on the steering committee may not be familiar with your terminology in the team. And that is one of, let's say, your most important activities as a project leader, to translate between the different stakeholders. So we've covered the different communication styles. And what is also very important is to understand their relationships. So you may have people in the company who work closely together, where you know, and across departments, where you know they either basically are friends or really get along very well. And then there might be people, and you may know about it, where they say, well, they don't get along that well, and or maybe they are competitors in different areas. So understanding the nature of the relationship of your stakeholders amongst them is absolutely crucial, because then you know where your allies are and where you can get help. So the next step would be to really draw a relationship web. And by that, I mean is placing the stakeholders on a piece of paper, as an example, and trying to understand, when you put your project in the middle of this web, is who is close to your project in terms of supporting a lot, and who is, let's say, far away from this project, who is either not interested or is not supportive, or just doesn't care, or who is maybe resisting the transformation. And by creating this type of web, you also see visually where do you have your allies and where do you see the resistance. And maybe some of your allies can help you manage the resistance. And that is basically the understanding of relationships. That's the organizational, not the structure, but the organizational dynamics. And maybe, some allies, maybe you have some allies that you don't know yet, or maybe you find out some stakeholders where you say, well, actually, I think this person or this person would benefit from the project, but I don't have a personal relationship to this person yet, and maybe you understand where you need to build your relationships. Typically, these analysis, let's say the profiling and also the organizational web, or you can also name it political web, the stakeholder web, is information that I would not share publicly, because this is not, let's say, based on statistical data. This web is your impression how you see this project. And I would keep it exactly as this. This is your view, your analysis that you as a project leader did. Whether this is true or not, it is your impression. And I would also keep it exactly that way, where I say, okay, that is my personal analysis, and you may have people you trust a lot and say, okay, how do you see this? Because there are other people who will have a different view, and you need to decide how sensitive this information is or not. I don't know the situation you're in. I don't know the organization you're in, but I have found an analysis that I do at home to understand what my, let's say, next activities are in building relationships. So where do I need to put energy in, put focus on in order to build my network, the network to run and lead this project successfully. And for me, stakeholder management is a huge, even, let's say, one of the most important activities as a project leader, managing stakeholders, managing their expectations, and networking. You can say it's politics. No project is without politics, but stakeholder management, understanding the needs, understanding the communication styles, managing those expectations, that's leadership. And by having those analyses done beforehand really helps me to understand to whom I need to build a relationship to, and where I can ask for support and for help. And one of, let's say, the most important topics is, when I've done the analysis, is building those relationships. Implementing the strategies is basically you build the relationship, you build trust, and you establish the network by transparent communication, by constant communication, and by trying to communicate in a way that the other people understand what you're saying. And one of the, let's say, reasons why you are doing this is not only to be successful in this project, in this leadership role, but also to ask for support. Because sometimes you do need support from management. You do need support from other department leaders who help you to implement change, to manage a transformation. And having this support and knowing where to ask, this is absolutely crucial, because you don't have to do it on your own, and asking for support is also something that is really, really important. So I hope that this was relevant to you and helpful to you. I would like to briefly give you a glimpse on Passion for Projects Academy, because that is a coaching program exactly tackling these topics in project management. So it's communication, it's stakeholder management, it's business case management, it's conflict management. So all, let's say, advanced power skills, the difficult things. It's not about creating structures and plans, and yes, we can talk about it, but the core goal is really to elevate you and empower you, help you grow as a project leader with the right communication skills, the conflict management skills, the stakeholder management skills. And this coaching program is in this first step for women in project management, who feel stressed and who are searching for a safe space, a space where they can ask their questions around the projects they are in, their conflicts they are dealing with. So it's really a safe space to ask questions, to get support and coaching on this, and coaching on growing as a project leader. How or what are the power skills that we're working on? It's, as I said, stakeholder and business case management. It's also a lot about your role and your reputation as a project leader. This is slightly different than your personal brand. Reputation management means what type of reputation do you need as a project leader in a certain type of project, and what type of reputation do you need towards the management, towards the externals, towards your project team. And it might be different. You might need different types, or slightly different types of reputation for those different stakeholders in order to be a successful leader. And we will define what type of reputation for whom and why. We will do quite a lot of confidence building, because a lot of step activities or a lot of elements related to leadership is about confidence and courage. Confidence to address a conflict, confidence to manage and lead change, and also to advocate not only the project, but advocate yourself as a leader. We're heavily working on communication, the different types and styles of communication, and also project politics. I think that's all interlinked, as you may have seen now in the elements of stakeholder management. And one of the, and the fifth power skill is really about how do I manage change, and how do I manage conflicts, not only within the project team, but within, let's say, the wider context of the project. When is this program running? Currently, I'm in the launch phase, so until the Friday, 14th of June, you're able to join the program. It is the first time that I'm launching this program, so that's why I call this founding members. So all the people who are joining the program are founding members for this program. It's I think a very attractive price of 49 euros plus tax for a monthly engagement, as an example. If you scan the code, you will be able to see the different options. That's not the one. So how can you join? It's either by scanning the code, or you ping me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to give you some more details and answer your questions. Because what I've also seen is throughout the presentations that I've done in last week and this week is there were quite regular questions or frequently asked questions that I will be publishing on the website today and tomorrow. So ping me if you're interested in, and I hope this stakeholder profiling was valuable to you. Have a great rest of the day, and I hope to see you in one of the next LinkedIn Lives too. Take care.